In this video, I want to describe the action queries that you can do in Access. Most of the time, we're running a select query. We're trying to find and locate records and fields based on a certain criteria. Well, you can also use those criteria to create a table, do an append, an update, or a delete. We're first going to do make a table. So what we currently have here is I have the listings, all the fields from the listings table in a query, and when I run it, it shows you the complete 57 listings that we have. We have a column called results, and in it are the ones that are S for sold. So really those are no longer in our listings. So what we want to do is I'm going to first take the records that are sold and make a table and call them sold properties. To do this, you switch to design view. We want to change our results. We're going to make it, put an S in the criteria. Before you run any action query, you should first of all always back up your database. Secondly, always run it as a select query first to make sure you're going to get the correct records. So I'm going to run this. And sure enough, when I took a look at my results, I have 9 listings that are currently sold. So I no longer want them in my listings table. What I'm going to do is first take these and make a table, and then I'll come back and delete them from the table. So, go back to design view. Now that I know these are the sold properties, I'm going to click make a table. The new table is going to be called sold properties. And when I go ahead and click OK, and it's going to be stayed in the current database, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And now here's the key. That didn't work. It doesn't work until you run it. So you now have to run the query. You're about to paste 9 rows into a new table. Say yes. And lo and behold, we now have a new table called sold properties. If I go ahead and open those sold properties, you can see that I have the 9 records there. Now that I have those sold, when I make a table, you have to realize it has not deleted them out of the listings property. All it did was take a copy of the records that have a result of S and pasted them into a new table. So now this time around, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I'm just going to go back to a select query, and I'm going to run it once again to make sure I have my 9 records. I'm now going to go to design view, and now what I'm next going to do is I'm going to do the action query of delete. Okay, so now when I click it, that didn't do anything. It doesn't delete the records out of this table until I actually run the query. I'm going to click run. It's going to tell me I'm going to delete 9 rows out of my listings table. And you're not going to be able to reverse this or click undo. So that's why it's always a good thing to make a backup of your database before you run this. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Okay. So now that I have my listings here, I shouldn't see any sold properties in them. So when I go back to my select query here and now click run, notice I have none in there. Okay. I'm going to get rid of that criteria for right now, and I'm going to run my query. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, let's say I'm going to change some of these. I'm going to change I'm going to make a couple of these now sold. Okay, so we sold 3 more listings. All right, now what I want to do is I want to append any sold listings that are currently in my listings table into the sold properties table. So first of all, I'm going to make it a select query. I'm going to run it. You can see there's my 3 records that are now recently just marked as sold. I'm going to come back to design view. I'm going to click append, and it's going to say what table do I want to append it to. It just guessed at sold properties, okay? So you want to make sure you select the right one. We're going to append these 3 records to sold properties. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And once again, it tells you where it's going to append to. It matched up those fields exactly. All right, and now you're going to go ahead and click Run. I'm about to append 3 rows. I'm going to say yes. Okay, now if I open up my sold properties table, instead of 9 records, I now have 3, so I know they are in there. And now that we have this here, let's go back to Design View. Whoops. Okay, let's change this back to a select. Again, we're going to run it. I have my 3 sold properties. I'll change to Design View, and now once again, let's delete those. So we're going to go ahead and delete them. Where it says S, I'm going to go ahead and click Run. It tells me I'm going to delete 3 records. Yes. And now those are no longer in the listings table. Now, the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and say yes to save this, all right, is I want to show you how to do an update query. And I have one created here that I haven't run yet. Okay. What I want to do is I currently have, this is a select query, I currently have the listings for all the properties, but I have them for Newcastle. The Newcastle property list prices are way too high. So I want to reduce all these prices. Something drastic's going wrong in that city. Let's reduce all these prices by 90%. Yes, I could come in here and type in new prices each time. However, you can just do an update query and will automatically update that field. So let's switch to Design View, and I want to click on Update, and it says Update to. What I want to do is I'm going to take the list price, and I'm going to go in brackets, type list price times 0.9. Okay, so that's going to take my list price field and multiply it times 0.9. When I click Run, it tells me I'm about to update these 6 rows. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. I'm now going to switch back to my select query. And now when I click Run, you can see that these prices right here all have been reduced 10% or 90% of the original price. All right, so it deletes the old price and updates the new price. It's a wonderful way to update if you have 1,000 employees and they're all getting a 3% pay increase. You can just take their salary and multiply it times 1.03 and it's automatically updated. So those are your action queries: make a table, append, update, and delete.